Hello, everyone. Welcome to this afternoon's fantastic Settify webinar. My name is Paul Psaltis. I am the CEO of Settify. And this afternoon, we'll be running through Next Gen Settify. We'll get to that in the second half of the webinar, Mastering the Art of Legal Client Engagement. Now, just before we kick things off, wow, I can see we've got well over 100 people here this afternoon, which is fantastic. Great turnout. I can see there's some people here from the other side of the world, the United Kingdom, North America. We've got Settify partner firms all over the place. So I appreciate you staying up late or very late to attend this webinar. Now, before we jump in and do an introduction, just some housekeeping. If you've got questions throughout the webinar, just remember, you can all hear and see me. I can't see or hear anybody. So once we get to the very end, we'll run through the Q&A. My colleague Emma, our head of marketing, will just go through the questions and call them out. If it's something that's perhaps a little specific to your practice, we will reach out to you directly, but we will go through some Q&A at the end. Also at the conclusion of the webinar, because we value feedback, there will be a survey, so please take the time to complete it. It will only take a few moments. Also, this webinar is being recorded. We will be uploading some snippets. We'll also put the full recording on YouTube, and we'll be circulating some information just in relation to this webinar when it concludes. So let's jump in. I always like to start with a brief introduction and just paying homage to Settify's two co-founders and just give everybody a little history of where we've come from and where we're going. So Settify's co-founder, there's two here, Max Patterson on the left and Athol Bertley on the right. But Max Patterson was a young family lawyer. He came to understand very quickly through junior practice that it was very challenging for prospective clients to have that initial meeting with lawyers because they just were ill-prepared. It was a very emotional time in their lives. They just weren't sure what to happen. They were told to meet at a time and a place, and someone will gather that initial information. And on the other side, the junior lawyers. Now, when I do this as a seminar, I often ask for a show of hands because most of us that have practiced are familiar with being a junior and just having the managing partner ask you to go and gather some initial information and you know nothing about the matter, about the person, possibly even the practice area that it involves. And so it makes it extremely challenging. And that's what both Max and Athol identified. So they joined forces to create Settify way back in 2017, and it's come a long way since then. We've got hundreds of legal practices using Settify globally. And the whole premise of Settify is so technology is used to make and enhance that human connection. And as we go through the webinar, that will become a little more prominent. So what are clients exactly looking for? Now, I love these two photographs because one of them was taken around 100 years ago, one a little more recently. And a lot has happened in the client-lawyer relationship in the last 100 years. If you ask your parents, your grandparents, a lot of people, when they engaged those very stereotypical white-collar jobs, your doctor, your lawyer, your dentist, anything was a family something. And often you would just engage the lawyer that your family used. There was someone nearby or just a family friend or someone that was trusted. Very little shopping around was actually done. And so in this webinar, what I want to do is talk about the fundamental changes over the last 100 years. And let's be honest, many of you that are here today are running a business and you always have an eye on the bottom line. You want to do things better. You want to do things more efficiently. You want to look after your staff and your clients as well. And so the whole premise of Settify, working with partner firms, and I know that some of you here use Settify, some of you here don't, so I'm trying to cater for both audiences, but it really aims to create an environment that secures a prospective client's interest and trust, because that's strongly linked with your ability to engage with them and connect with them early on in the journey. And in this day and age, that starts with your website. And the modern client will, on average, visit 2 or more legal practices before deciding who to engage. And there are 3 primary factors that come down to whether or not someone will engage with you as their lawyer. Your level of responsiveness, how much they like you, if you can build that connection, and providing advice that allows them to feel comfortable, that they understand, that they're not overwhelmed, that their concerns are relayed and can move forward working together. Prospective clients are looking for a reason to choose you, and they really want to stop shopping around. Let's face it, they're looking for someone to engage, to look after them and what they're going through at that particular time in their lives. And that is really prominent in the practice of family law. Now, you can do this easily by being responsive, providing great information on your website that allows them to create that brilliant first impression, one of our taglines. So you and your practice engages them in a way that suits them. And generally, you have around 10 seconds from when someone jumps on your website to whether or not they decide to engage you, even reach out to you before they jump off and they search for another practice. Because in this day and age, it's very easy. They can Google family law, a city, family law region, family lawyer, and things like that. So once they're on the website, the hard work certainly hasn't done. It's just begun. And Settify is all about the technology, utilizing technology to connect with people. Now, I love this slide because it gives one of our Brisbane, where I'm from, family law practices, who's very successful, Deborah from DA Family Lawyers, gives her a bit of a plug. But also some of the statistics on this slide, while I just run through some other information that we've dug out of our Settify data. The modern client, firstly, we've just talked about how they do a lot of window shopping. Let's face it, we all do it now. It's very easy to jump on a phone and just trawl for what you need. And it's the days of going to one practice, as we've talked about, are gone. Your website really needs to draw them in to build that rapport from the get-go. The other thing that the Settify data shows is that 75 to 80%, so nearly 4/5 of all people that engage the Settify questionnaire on our partner firm's website become a fee-paying client for that practice. So that's a huge conversion rate where 4/5 who go to the website and then go through and complete the questionnaire from end to end will become a fee-paying client, which is, yeah, that's a great stat. The modern client is also busy. I'm sure you can all relate to engaging with any business outside of business hours, booking flights, booking the dentist, anything. And engaging in legal services is really no different in this day and age. But think of your own lives. My wife and I have a young daughter who's about to turn 3. And so you've got that finite time from when she's in bed and you hit the wall and you go to bed, or on the weekends when you get 5 minutes to yourself. And so Settify allows your prospective clients to engage 24/7 on your website. It uses a language that's engaging, that's empathetic, that really makes your prospective and hopefully fee-paying clients want to work with you to resolve their matter. Especially in the world of family law, what clients are looking for are to connect with a person, to really have empathy and understanding from the get-go. And that first impression is equally as important. Now, Deborah from DA Family Lawyers, we will circulate her case study. We consider Deborah a gold standard client because she uses Settify to the nth degree. She not only has a lot of engagements via her website. If someone telephones in or she meets them somewhere, she will then send them an invite to use Settify. So by the time that first meeting has happened, all of that initial information and understanding of what that person is going through has been referred to by the practice, but also the end user has an understanding of what the next steps are. So the landscape of family law, look, let's face it, it's been a long time since I've practiced, but what I've observed being in legal technology and engaging with lawyers for the better part of the last 20 years is legal work is becoming more complex. It's becoming more challenging. Family law matters are becoming more acrimonious. This country has an issue with domestic violence. Don't have to talk about the stats. I don't want this to become a political discussion, but the ripple effect of that is enormous. There is significant psychological impact in this practice area on everyone, not just the direct parties, but outside of that, the practitioners, mediators, child services, everyone involved. There is significant psychological impact. It's really hard being a family lawyer. It is, and that's why there are a lot of education networks, networks such as Flenner, your local law societies, just so as practitioners, everyone can get together and discuss their experiences, but also to encourage working together to find a way to resolve family law matters without them becoming too acrimonious. Casework needs to be approached with caution, with education, with empathy, and with care. Now, just to continue on with some statistics, these were taken from last year's separation guide. This was an impact survey, and these statistics really speak volumes. I'll let you all just a moment to read these, and while you're reading them, this guide further stated that acrimonious matters cost on average $60,000 per person, family law matters. It can take up to 4 years on average for matters to be resolved if they go to court. And there's a greater pressure on the legal profession to seek alternative resolution methods, such as mediation, such as collaboration, and so on. So how can Settify help? How can we bring all of this together, what I've talked about, the way that customers, prospective clients engage via a website, building that first impression, connecting lawyers and clients in a way in which both the modern client and the modern practice enjoy. So that's possibly or probably a nice segue into the next generation of Settify. So I'll actually jump into a live demonstration shortly. As they say, talk is cheap, slides are cheap. So just wanted to put a couple of images on the screen. If you're using a laptop like me, they might be a little small. So I'll jump through and show you in a live environment in much larger font very shortly. But the main reason why we decided to revamp Settify and rebuild it from the ground up, now this was hundreds of thousands of dollars of investment, research and development over the last 18 months to rebuild Settify. The first version of Settify has been absolutely fantastic. What the co-founders did was nothing short of brilliant. There are hundreds of practices using Settify globally, but we listened to our customers. A number of us went out and met with dozens of customers globally, face-to-face, dozens each, I should add, so probably around 100 all up, spoke with others, surveys, engagement, NPS, and based on your feedback, there's a number of things that we've done. Firstly, the look and feel. We understand that the visual aspect of Settify is a little dated, so we wanted to overhaul that. It's got enhanced security, enhanced data encryption to give you and your clients peace of mind, enhanced virus scanning when documents are uploaded, so there's nothing malicious that can be sent to you. It includes additional AI for smarter and more engaging process, and we've just scratched the surface with that. We've engaged a family lawyer to work directly with us to enhance the legal content and also to make Settify better and better as we get into the new year and add more of those AI, just general features and enhancements. So this is only the beginning. It's certainly not the end. The other thing that we wanted to do is, over the last 5 years, the number of people that engage Settify on a handheld device has risen significantly. And what we've discovered through our user data is almost 60% of all people that engage Settify do it on either a mobile phone and a tablet. And the original version of Settify just didn't have that in mind. It works pretty well on a phone, but now with the new version, the new user interface, the new formatting on a much more modern platform, it's phone optimized, so it's easy for people to read, to understand, and to just go through the Settify flow from go to why. Because again, that brilliant first impression starts with what we are providing, and we want more people to go and meet with you and have that brilliant first meeting. And we would rather have less people get frustrated, get confused, quit, and not use Settify at all. The next generation of Settify will be easier to deploy, easier to roll out, easier to scale. It's a faster system, and there's a lot more to come. Now, we'll go through the pathway document in greater detail. We'll go through a flow very shortly, but I just wanted to talk a little bit about the pathway for those that haven't used Settify before. So one of our unique propositions is when someone goes through a Settify flow, it might be a little small on the right of the slide there, so I'll go through it on our website shortly. Settify gives them a separation pathway, a pathway of what is going to happen and the next steps. And coming back to what we talked about earlier, it was making sure that people felt comfortable, they felt understood. Going through a separation breakdown is one of the most harrowing things anyone can go through in their entire lives. And then there's a lot of moving parts, a lot of complicated factors, a lot of things that are happening. So if we, and by proxy you, can give people that comfort understanding what's going to happen the next steps, then that really just creates a great first impression, but also sets the tone for the entire life of that matter. And remember, if people have a pleasant customer experience with you, they will refer you additional work and talk about it to their friends, family, and others, further boosting the amount of fee-paying clients that will come to your business. So what I might do now is just jump into a bit of a live presentation. Just bear with me. So this is what the new Settify system looks like. So you can see straight from the get-go, the fonts are easier to read. Some of the feedback and some of the most common feedback we received was the fonts were a little gray, they were a little small, not everybody could read them. They had to zoom around on their browsers and things like that. So we've listened to that. We've made the font slightly larger, slightly crisper, slightly more modern. You can have your image here. Again, we've put it all on one page, obviously your logo here. So when you get started, when you jump in, not sure what's happening here, bear with me. There we go. Again, everything is all on here on the one screen. So how can we help? Let's say separation. It identifies what is the discussion point. Some of the feedback we also received was when the data, the wording changed slightly below, people weren't quite sure if it was synonymous with these initial radio buttons. So we've cleaned that up to make it easy. It's easy for people to select additional services, add more information, review answers now and continue. So let's say it's a separation matter. The privacy we brought to the front. So this was hidden deep down, and so we would often receive feedback from regular users and partner firms about privacy. So this allays all of those concerns. You can also see now it's very easy to see the initial questions and how far you've gone through those initial questions. Just little things, but really important things, as people who have never seen this before, who are going through quite a traumatic experience, are just going through the flow. Are you currently married? Just allow me to complete this information. Again, you can see it's just giving them engaging information as they go through, which varies depending on what the situation is, which best describes your situation. And again, the answers will vary depending on the situation. Start putting in. And again, this will vary depending on the information. So let's say yes. You can add other children. Do you have children from other relationships? Let's just keep this one short and sharp. The amicability slider, so people can tell you how things are going. Is their safety a concern? Are things amicable? Are they somewhere in the middle? This is a very popular feature. Financial situation. Again, the responsible varies. So people feel like they're dealing with a real person. They're having a conversation. Now, again, our data shows that a lot of people engage Settify outside of business hours. Again, they're at home, probably curled up on the couch with their phone, or they're doing it over a weekend. So it may be impossible for them to speak with someone, but they feel like they're speaking with someone. And then this is the divorce pathway. So they will receive a copy of this, a summary of what they've provided. So almost reading back the information that they've provided, a resolution, child, property and finances, where to from here. So again, this isn't replacing what you are doing as practitioners. It's just setting the tone and giving this person an understanding of what the next steps will entail. So then when they click next, I love this page. This has been completely rebuilt. For those of you that use Settify, you're probably familiar it's a very long page that scrolls through. Now there's chapters, so people they've completed the basic information. They can go through and complete additional chapters. They can upload relevant files and documentation. They can save, they can create their own account and come back at any time to complete. And we've just brought this more to the front, all on this one page, so people are less confused. They can just continue the questionnaire. But what I also really want to show people is one of the other most common bits of feedback we received was the review page, where it just wasn't quite clear what was mandatory to be completed and what wasn't mandatory to be completed. Okay, so you can see here the basic information that I entered in earlier is here. Information about the relationship if it's required, and it can just be added here. You can edit, you can complete it, living arrangements, and so on. And then when the relevant mandatory information is completed, it can easily be submitted. So as a practitioner, you will receive all of the relevant information, and you also receive separation pathway, or a client brief, as we call it, an executive summary. So this is what you will receive before that first meeting, and this is so very important. So this is client Mrs. Jodie Lee Bond, and I'll run through what it looks like from the lawyer's side, the administrative side shortly. But you can see you receive all of this information from the get-go. So you have all of this information at your fingertips, and you can go through it, you can prepare well before you have that initial client meeting. And this is why our tagline is brilliant first meetings every time. You can see some basic information here about various commitments, parenting arrangements, school arrangements, things to do with trauma, things to do with the way the child's behaved, if they've had any therapy and things like that, right through to financial information, assets, liabilities, the confidence of the value of something. I won't go through all of this end to end, but it gives practitioners a nice summary of what to expect walking into that very first meeting. A far cry of what it was like with a clipboard and maybe a few lines. And we meet with a lot of people that also say, oh, I just send a Word document, but 90% of the time it comes back incomplete. So that's just a nice snapshot of what it looks like for the end user. For the lawyer now, this is what the new user interface looks like. And this is a fabulous, again, completely revamped UI, rebuilt from the ground up. From this main page, you can see customers that have come through. You can easily search for those customers. So let's look, that was a matter of Jody. You see, I did a bit of practice this morning. There's Jody Bond. So you can click here, you can view the brief. And then from here as well, now these documents can be emailed to you, but they're also saved within Settify once you've done the conflict check and you've confirmed that you can act for this client. Here's an electronic copy of that executive summary, that brief that I talked or just showed you a little bit earlier. You can, of course, download that document. You can download their assets and liabilities table if that's been completed as well. You can also get notifications if they've changed anything in the Settify intake, because sometimes they'll add information as they go. Maybe they'll ring you. Maybe there's a conversation prior. Maybe they do it in dribs and drabs, depending on the time that they've got or the information they have at hand. Again, it's just easy to access all of this information. You can send Jody a follow-up if you'd like to perhaps just say it's been a few weeks since we've spoken with you. Would you like to come in and meet with us? And of course, you can lock the record if you either can't act from or you want to completely lock it down. Also, you can see over on the left-hand side here, the menu is easy to access, easy to understand. You can send invitations. You've got other options too, like staff members, officers, and integrations. We've significantly enhanced our integration into Leap and into Smokeball. Another complete overhaul and significant enhancement is the billing section as well, where a lot of the feedback we received was it was hard for people to find where the invoices were. Invoices could quickly add up in the older version of Settify, but people had no idea if they owed us money or not, which is challenging. Obviously, we want to make everything as easy as possible for end users such as yourselves. And so you can see here on this billing page now, it will let you know if, because we integrate directly into Stripe, if there are any outstanding invoices, pending invoices, overdue invoices. You can easily download those invoices. Those invoices will show you the amount of usage. And if you wish to pay for them, I know some people still pay us via direct debit. However, we integrate seamlessly into Stripe so you can pay straight away on a credit card automatically. So that's probably a nice snapshot. I don't want to go into too much detail. Again, for people that have never seen this before, what we will do is we can reach out to you and we can, here we go, jump to this one, and we can give you a more in-depth demonstration for those of you that are existing customers who at family law, have access to family law and want to switch over. You can do that at the current pricing as well. Okay, so we've got a few minutes left. What I might do is jump into some Q&A. Emma, thanks for jumping on.
Hi, no problem. Thanks, Paul. We've had a couple of questions. One of them has to do with the way Settify integrates with your PMS. So will the new Settify, the next gen Settify, still be able to integrate with a firm's PMS?
That's right. Our two main integration partners are Leap and Smokeball. For practice management systems outside of that, you can speak with us and we can see what we can do. But the aim is to maintain the levels of integration that we've got, but significantly enhance the Leap and the Smokeball ones.
And we've had a few questions and comments. So obviously you've shown the family law platform here. Questions around, will this new platform be available for wills, estate planning, and so on?
That's a fantastic question. Short answer is yes. The longer answer is yes, soon. So the majority of our customers use Settify for family law. And so what we wanted to do was focus on that platform first. And then once we get that up and running and everybody's happy with it, we'll very quickly transition to releasing it for other practice areas as well. Don't have an ETA, but hopefully sometime in the new year, we'll have something available in those practice areas.
Excellent. They were the main questions, actually. People just wanted to know if they could get to use the new gen Settify in other areas. So at the moment, there is a question around pricing, but I think, you know, as this stands, if you currently use the Settify platform for family law, we'll swap you over and there'll be no change to pricing. That's correct.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So for current users, family law users want to make the switch, we'll switch you over, no change in pricing. For new practices coming on board, it's just our standard Settify pricing. And we can talk to you about those details when we engage with you, either over the phone or in a one-on-one conversation.
Actually, I'll just respond. Peter, you asked the question about pricing, but if you go to our website and maybe book a demo, then you can meet with our salesperson and she'll go through appropriate pricing for your firm. What is the process of changing over to Next Gen Settify?
Great question. Contact us, and it's a relatively simple process, almost like the flick of a switch. So the way that it's designed is obviously to help people transition as smoothly, as easily as possible. Given that it's completely website based, I know for those of you here that have ever transitioned practice management systems, it's really complicated and painful. And I know from where I've worked in previous organizations, none of that with Settify because it's completely web-based. The new user interface can easily be switched on, and then everything that you had historically will still be there. So it's a relatively straightforward process.
Excellent. I think you've answered all the questions.
Look, thank you all very much. Still see almost everybody still here, which is great. Again, if you've got any other questions, please feel free to contact us. You can see it on the slide there on the right. You can always reach out to us. Feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn as well. If you'd like to discuss anything personally with me, we love receiving feedback and we love engaging with practitioners, whether they use Settify or not. For those of you coming to the Family Law Education Network Conference in a couple of weeks, I'll also be there as well. Look forward to seeing you there and hopefully meet you face to face. For everyone else, have a fantastic day and thanks again for joining.